Being in UFC and especially in one of the biggest arenas in Las Vegas, it was just completely something else compared to the British standards, compared to Troxy or Brentwood or wherever I fought before. It's absolutely massive in the States. The people love the sport over there. They appreciate it more, they appreciate fighters, they treat them well. And when you step into octagon where it's like 20,000 people, it's just the whole experience put more pressure on you when you fight as well. And it's just something else. It's exactly where every fighter want to be, fighting in Las Vegas. Again, is a massive pressure, you know. The sport is really big over there, you know. I mean, people recognize you. Even if it was my first fight debut, I'm a guy from Czech Republic. I thought no one is gonna know you over there at all. But you're walking down the street, so people recognize you. When you walk into octagon, they shout your name. They probably know the UFC fighters, and yeah, it's awesome. It's a great feeling, you know. By them, you don't really hear your name. By them, you just concentrate on your fight, you know. When you're actually there, it's all switch. I always switch before my fight. You just don't look around. You don't listen around. You just head into the fight. You know. In England, I beat everyone with my speed. I even though I'm small heavyweight, I overpower all the big guys what I fought. You know. And I fought some heavy guys. I fought Listopad, who is a great fighter, big and heavy guy. But I completely overpower him. But these American guys, the heavyweight, I realized I didn't believe it. All my coaches were saying that before. Don't take UFC fight as a heavyweight. You're not heavyweight. You are actually small, light heavyweight. But I always wanted to fight in the heavyweight division, and I wasn't just strong enough. Wasn't big enough. You know. I didn't get beaten up. I got lied on. The guy was too heavy, kept me down. Even though he wasn't doing much, because he wasn't doing much, he wasn't opening the space for me to get up or do anything. You know. So after this fight, the biggest experience is I realized I can't be with my size. I can't be competing with guys size of the Joe Madsen, or alternatively with somebody like Shane Carvin or Brock Lesnar. They're just the beasts, you know. So I have to come down. If I want to stay in UFC, I have to come down to light heavy, and there I should be pretty big and strong for the light heavyweight division. I maybe learned a little bit more, listen to my coaches and managers. Even though they was all saying before the fight, don't take the heavyweight fight, I was the only one who said no, I'm taking it, and I'm fighting in heavyweight. So, and they proved me wrong. So next time I'm probably gonna be listening more. In November, I got waiting for my first fight in light heavy. So there's gonna be a test for me, basically stepping. Basically, I never died before, you know, so I have to hit my diet right and fight with the faster guys. And I got a quite hard opponent for my first fight in light heavy, you know, Seth Petruzzelli. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows he's pretty sharp. Leg on the floor, leg on the standing up. Knock out Kimbo Slice pretty quick, you know. He's an experienced fighter, 12-5. So big test for me. Big test for me.
Steady, are you ready? What's going on? Steady, are you ready? Are you ready? What's going on? What's going on? Cold, fresh air. Feel the melody that's in the air. I'm down, take a look around. What's going down? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me?
The London Shoot Fighter team wanted to bring me over to help Karlos as a sparring partner. I guess they got tired of getting beat up by him, so it's my turn for a little bit. But he's doing real well. He's in great shape and he's training hard and he's kicking the hell out of me. So it's been a great experience over here. They got a lot of talented guys, and I'm lucky to be a part of it. I'm here mostly just as a ground fighting component, just giving him a unique perspective on the guard. That a lot of the guys here are more wrestling based, more stand up based. So, and I've got more of a jiu-jitsu background, so I bring just a little different perspective than maybe he's seen to his regular training partners. It's always good to mix it up a little bit and get some variety, and I bring a slightly different perspective to it. I've seen him fight a couple of times, but we don't really try to replicate somebody's style too detailed, because his style is, I'm sure, always changing. I'm sure he's always improving. We try to be as well-rounded as we can, and we try to push our game plan. Obviously you got to be aware of all the mistakes and holes that you could have, but for the most part we just we're pushing our game plan. We're just working towards our goals as opposed to defending his goals. Well, my wrestling is not very good as it is. I mean, these guys here are throwing me on my head easily. So I mean, from my perspective, the wrestling is great. From a world level, sure, it's not as high as what you're going to see in the US, but in MMA that's really not that big a deal. It's not that hard to be athletic enough to sprawl hard. These guys have great groundwork and they have great stand-up, so wrestling would be an advantage, but it's not a death sentence if you don't have it. And these guys have good wrestling. People try to compare it to like an Olympic level. You don't need that kind of level to be good in MMA.
Look, hood's down, hair out, low key, no whereabouts, whip full of goons, people I care about, will move to for the slightest, air you out, when they're trying to make convo or hear you out, gorillas like Congo, monkey features, smoking on that knife cloud, so you can hype now, but as soon as you pipe down, we'll take a commercial break and we'll be right round. See, they used to hate me, but they're starting to like me now, look. Hey, there's critics as well, loads of them in the world today. Everyone's got a lot to say about my stuff, my work. No news is good news.
Before I started MMA, I used to compete in bodybuilding, and the reason why I choose this gym because there's loads of professional top bodybuilders in the country training in this gym. So I was getting all my help with my diet, which is handy for me for the MMA as well. The diet is very important with my strength, with all the weights. Like I said, the best bodybuilders in the country training here: Eddie Abu, Ricky Velin, ex-professional bodybuilder Charles Claremont. He was 5-time Mr. Universe. He is helping me with my training, with my diet. He's sitting just over there. You all right, mate? How you doing? It's Charles Claremont. He's 5-time Mr. Universe. If I need any help with my training, about my dieting, just have to ask him. He's always very helpful. He's the man in the business in the sport.
And he's the man in the fight game.
That's it. Thanks, mate. Good man. Yeah, so basically all this gym is a proper bodybuilder's gym with the big, large weights area downstairs, and with some proper bodybuilders, one of the best bodybuilders in the country. I mean, Eddie Abu is training here, his own training. He does personal training as well. He's one of the best bodybuilders in the country. Well, mate, how you doing?
We trained together a few times, didn't we?
Yeah, we did train with Eddie quite a few times together, and especially when I was competing in the bodybuilding. He was the guy who was helping me with all my diet and losing the weight and holding the muscles and all that. So he's the man in the business. He's the man to ask to if you need any help in the nutrition, so anything around the bodybuilding.
Cool.
Well, it's not about St. Petersburg really, it's about the fight in UFC, and every fight in UFC is going to be hard. So St. Petersburg is just another opponent, you know. You don't get the easy ones in UFC. completely different fight style than I am. He's a karate background striker. I'm a wrestler, you know. So it'd be interesting fight. We'll see whose game plan gonna work more in this fight, and I'm looking forward to it. The cut from heavyweight to light heavy for me wasn't the hardest dieting, because I wasn't exactly heavyweight. I was light heavyweight really. I was only walking about like 220 pounds, you know. But I do like walk around heavy, especially I work on the jaw, and I used to do bodybuilding, so it's all about putting the weight on. But MMA is not about it, you know. I was naturally more light heavyweight than I'm heavyweight, and if I was small heavyweight, I believe I'm gonna be pretty big and strong light heavyweight. So it's gonna do me a favor. I'm just coming to the Extreme shop on London Road in St Albans. In St Albans, where I'm based, where I'm training all my weights training and strength conditioning in Body Limit Gym in St Albans. The Extreme shop got every kind of supplements you can think of for any kind of sport, from the athletics, from the running to the body limits, weightlifting to the MMA. You can pick up anything you think of, but I'm sponsored by Garden Nutrition, and I come here every month to pick up my supplements which I use for my training, which they are right over there. So beginning of the month I come here and I'm picking up the supplements what I use for my regeneration and for improving my training. Is L-glutamine, carnitine, creatine, and I use the protein from Garden Nutrition. They are very good high protein. I use this whey protein mainly in the evening when I'm all over carbs, just before the bed and stuff. Before and after training, I use this S1. They taste really nice, and they got everything in there. They got creatine, glutamine, taurine, everything, the carbs, the protein. So it's very good stuff before and after workout.
All done, mate?
Yeah, I just got these lot, mate.
Okay. Right, the reason why Karlos uses basically all of these products is simply because nutritionally, like you said earlier, he is a machine, and he needs complete recovery all the time, 100%. So just simple things like particular amino acids like the L-glutamine, main amino acid for recovery, creatine to help cell volumization and basically to fuel his muscles, give him good endurance and good strength. Like you said, the AS1, which is an all-in-one recovery product, so it's got a bit of everything in, but basically it's going to give him maximum recovery of amino acids which he needs before he does his workout and after his workout, and obviously the pure proteins which he's putting in regularly throughout the day. And obviously his little treat, especially when he's trying to keep lean and his muscle, the Aspire bars, 40 grams of protein, perfect little meal, and ideal to keep him fueled and fed, and hopefully not very angry during the day.
special about my car. I always used to like fast cars, you know. I had an M3 before this one, and this one is a 6 Series. It's a powerful car, and it's a BMW. That's all what is special about it. I always have loved BMWs, you know. That says it all. Yeah, I changed it a little bit. I think it is a nice piece of car on its own, but I stuck a little bit bigger wheels on it. I stuck 22-inch deep dish wheels. I changed the exhaust. I put a four ends on the back of the exhaust, and I got the personalized number plate. I got the UFC. I got an X6 UFC. I'm a UFC fighter now, so I thought I might put UFC number plate on my car. Why did I change it to the black? Black is my colours. I just love black. Anytime I fight in my black shorts, you know. And I do think the badge in the black and white look much better. And I think BMW should actually think about it and change all them blue badges to the black ones, especially on the black BMWs. It's a little detail, but the black badge look much better than the blue one. It just changed the whole look. Well, my next car, it definitely would be again BMW. Like I said, I had an M3 before. Now I got 6 Series. And I just love BMWs. Considering I got 2 kids now, I have a little boy. I might will need a bigger car, you know. So there's some nice bigger cars like Range Rover Sport, but everyone have a Range Rover Sport these days, you know. So I think I would go. I would definitely go for X6. The new X6 was just come out. I think it's an awesome car. It's a beast. It's a beast of the BMW, and I already got the private number plate saying X6 UFC, you know, so it's just gonna fit perfect on the X6. Before I started in MMA, I used to work on the door. I used to be a bouncer, how they call it. They call it door supervisor these days. But where I work in North London. I work in Tottenham. Proper old school club. I'm here 6 years now, and Tottenham is a North London Enfield, and all. There's a bit of a shithole, but I think we got a nice little club in the bad area, you know. And I used to work 7 nights a week before I started in MMA. Obviously now I'm on the professional level, I'm a professional fighter. So I did give up my work because I'm sponsored and managed by Convict Fightwear. So I don't really need to work on the door no more. But I tried to give it up, but I couldn't, because that was hate before the fighting, and it is a part of me. That's what I do, you know. So after a little while, when I give up the doors, I felt like I have to come back on the doors, because I can't really go out. I can't go out with my missus for a drink, having a good time, because I'm training 6 times a week, 3 times a day. All what I do, I'm just training, so I can't go out and have a drink and all that. And if I go out over the weekend, I'm pretty boring. I'm just standing there and don't drink, having a bit of Diet Coke and watch people around. And I do that at work. I'm standing there, having a bit of Diet Coke, and I'm actually having a good time. I love working on the doors, you know, and I sort of enjoy it. Get me out of the house and get me out of the stress from the training and from the fights coming up. And believe me or not, when I used to fight in England before I started fighting UFC, I was working the night before of my fight, and straight after the fight I went back straight to work, where I was celebrating and working and getting paid for it, because I tried once before my fight, like Friday night, take a night off and just relax before the fight, but I couldn't do it because I'm lying in the bed, can't sleep anyway, just thinking of the opponent, thinking of the fight. But if I go to my club, I like this place. I know all the people around here, know everyone. You know, it just take the mind away from the fight. And yeah, this job is not physical, not meant to be physical. But I would have said that's where my MMA started, really, because I used to wrestling back in the Czech Republic. When I come over to England, I used to do just bodybuilding, and and I was competing in bodybuilding, and because I was working on the hard doors in the silly clubs, I was fighting all on the streets. I had loads of scraps, especially in this club or everywhere I work. I've been working literally everywhere, Essex, you know, St Albans, Watford, London, all over the place, North London. I never got beaten up, but I also didn't want to get nicked and lose my badge and working on the door. So I thought I started missing fighting, you know, and the fighting on the streets, that's not where I was wanting to head it to in my life, you know. So I thought, should I come back to wrestling? But wrestling is not all that these days. It's not as popular how it used to be, especially when I was back home. So I come back to MMA, done a bit of MMA training, and I come into the MMA as a street fighter really, because my first MMA fight, I done my MMA fight with no MMA training. I mean, I've been picked up by CFC, by my old managers Alan Motlock and Terry Sabini. I have to thank them. They bring me where I am. They took me off the door, put me in the cage, and I done no training in my first fight. And I fought quite a tough fighter, double barrel. He was a decent fighter for my first fight, considering I had no training, and I done really well. So ever since then, I start thinking about more seriously, start training, get into MMA training, and now it's about 2.5 years what I'm training MMA, and obviously turn up from the pub or club fighter to the professional MMA fighter, and I prefer Kimbo Slice. I mean, he's a big name in the United States. He's famous for his street fights and all that, but he's not exactly the biggest name in the MMA, is he? He's not one of the best MMA fighters out there, you know. So, I mean, I fought my last fight, John Madsen. He's undefeated. He's, I believe, now 9-0, and even though he's not the biggest star in the UFC, I would have said he's better than Kimbo Slice. And Kimbo Slice, he had a couple of losses, and Seth Petruzzelli knocked him out. He ain't gonna knock me out, you know. So I'm not gonna run into it like a Kimbo did. He's so great because he knocked Kimbo Slice. It's MMA. Anything can happen in the cage. He beat Kimbo Slice. Well done. Now he's facing me, and he ain't gonna do it again, you know. So that's it. What happened on the fight day? Just want to get it done. As soon as I woke up, I want to have a little breakfast. I don't eat much because all the nerves before the fight and all that. But I try to sleep long as I can. Just wake up late as possible as I wake up and heading straight to the fight. Get it done as soon as possible. That's it. Job done. Well, my last fight, you're right. John Madsen didn't give me a chance to show because he was lying on me. I mean, he done his tactics well. He didn't want to fight, and he kept me down. He won the fight, you know. But if you ask him if there's a fighter who could have a good fight with me, the answer is there's a Seth Petruzzelli. I think he's the best opponent what I could get, because he is really exciting fighter. You know, he's not staying back. He's not gonna keep me down and lie on me. He's coming from the karate background. He got a little bit of a fancy style fighter. All the I think unnecessary spinning, flying kicks, whatever he does. But he's an exciting fighter, and he's always coming for the knockout, for the exciting fight. That's what I'm coming for as well, exciting fight, you know. So he's gonna be up and down. I go straight for him. He's gonna come back. He's gonna come back at me, and see how it goes. Whose game plan is gonna work better? I mean, I'm a wrestler. He's a striker. He will try to knock me out. I will try to do the same, take him down, ground and pound him, whatever comes. I mean, he got decent jiu-jitsu as well, so when we get on the floor, he's going to be decent scrap. He's going to be very, very good and exciting fight. Yeah, I've been given this question all the time, James McSweeney. Why don't I fight James McSweeney? I mean, I know James McSweeney quite a long time now. I mean, he was out on one of his interviews. I done a bit of training with him back in the day. I mean, why would I want to fight James McSweeney? Why is he in the UFC? I don't know. I don't care. He's a decent fighter. I mean, officially, what I read, he got the worst UFC record in the history. I mean, he got, if you go on the Shadow MMA universe, he got, I believe, like 4 wins and 8 losses, or 3 wins and 7 losses, or something like that. You know. So, what I would gain from it to fight him, you know, it's having a good stand-up don't make you a great MMA fighter. And like you said, he's not doing great in the UFC. I mean, I had one fight in the UFC and I lost as well, so I have to worry about me. I have to prove I'm doing great in the UFC. In the States, he's living out there, training with the world-class fighters, you know. So where is he heading to is up to him. But if you ask me, do I want to fight him? No. I mean, I wouldn't gain anything out of it, you know. So, Set Petruzzelli is much better fight for me, and after Set Petruzzelli, anyone.